How to overcome any seller's objections. Guys, as we're getting in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 6 most simple objections you're going to get in wholesaling. And if you didn't get a chance, watch the previous video on framing how to do cold calls and their scripts. This is the second part of it, and I think it'll help you out a lot. But before I get into it, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share this video with someone who wants to learn the truth about wholesaling. So let's just dive into it. And let's get down to business. Objection number 1, price. And there's 2 ways it goes around on this. Number 1, if they just want the crazy absurd price, they do words like, if the price is right or everything's for sale. They're just wasting your time. That's somebody who wants to sell. Just move on. Don't waste your time. That's not an objection. It's just a waste of time. The only objection I get on price is when people, specifically on a cold call, just want your offer up front. Now, I know what you want to do. You want to comply with it, but I'm just telling you, you got to do the complete opposite. You're going to have to reframe that conversation and take control. What do I mean by that? Mr. Seller, I'm definitely interested in buying your property, but I need to ask more information to find out some details on the property. Do you mind if I just take a few minutes and ask you some pertinent details about your property? You got to disarm them because they're going to attack on price. And if you decide to give in this temptation, you're nothing more than an order taker, you might as well go over to a McDonald's kiosk because they don't need you. Remember, as a wholesaler, we're never going to win on price. We win on giving them certainty and solving a problem right now with cash. If you want to compete on price, go be a cash buyer. That's what I call speculation. It has nothing to do with wholesaling. Another technique we do is, hey, listen, have you ever bought a car without test driving it? Well, let me ask you a few questions about your property so I can learn about it, so I can actually give you a real offer. Is that fair? As simple as that. If price comes up, if they just want to sell, move on. If they're trying to run you over up front, reframe and take control of the conversation. Because if you don't, there's no way you're going to get through that conversation and even get to an offer if you comply to every one of their demands. It happens, guys. You just got to take control. Number 2 is the third party. And that's when they just basically deflect. Well, I got to check with so-and-so, or I got to check with my third distant cousin. Number 1, make sure you have an upfront agreement with you. If you don't know how to do the upfront agreement, go over to freewholesaling.com. We give you the entire statement and show you how to do it. It basically says, Mr. Seller, when I'm done meeting with you today and learning about your house and you and your wife, you'll have a decision to make. It's either yes, I want to move forward with Rick, or no, I don't like what he has to say and I'm going to find somebody else. Either way, can we agree to make that yes or no decision? Now, if you do this up front, it will get rid of all the crap, the stalling. It will eliminate 70% of it. But if you leave that little bit of window, people, when they're indecisive, they like to make no decision, which in my opinion is a decision. If they're going to blame a third party, make sure you do that upfront agreement. Number 2, if they go, well, I got to run this. My lawyer says I have to run everything back. This is where you actually have to call them to the table politely. Go, hey, what lawyer do you use? And if they can't give you an instant answer, you got it. They're not telling you the truth and they're just trying to make up a fake lie to stall you out because they're very uncomfortable with you. It's the honest to God truths. Guys, whenever there's a third party, you should identify in the upfront agreement if they have the authority to make the decision, because the third party is like a no man's land. It's like, what's going on here? Who's the decision maker? Now they're in charge. She's in charge. And I've had crazy stuff. Sometimes they can bring the parents, the grandparents. I've had lawyers come in. I just want to know up front. And if they deflect, you've got to dig deeper and find out what their true objection with is. And I usually find they're very uncomfortable with your offer, or they're uncomfortable and they don't trust you. And until you identify which one it is, you can't move forward. So whenever I heard a third party come up, if you can't verify it, you're going to have to reprobe and find out what the underlying solution is and reclassify the objection. Which leads us to number 3, which is the stall technique, which is sometimes leads into objection number 2, which is the third party. But this is basically when they decide not to make a decision with you. Now, once again, do the upfront agreement. This will get rid of 70% of that. And if you don't do the upfront agreement, more than 3/4 of them are going to stall you when you go to make your final offer. Now, when it comes to the final offer and they go, well, I got to think about it. I got to just, I'm not too sure. I need a few days to sleep on it. Number 1, I'm going to ring back. Hey, we had an upfront agreement. What part of my offer did you not understand? Is there something I can better clarify? Or I call it a clarifying question and go, what is it that's making you uncomfortable about this deal? And then the idea is to pinpoint what the problem is. Maybe it's price, maybe it's the time frame, maybe it's just you. But until you find out what the true underlying problem is, you're stuck in the friend zone. And the friend zone means they're going to date all your friends and then hang out at your house and drink all your food and drinks for free. And I don't know about you, but nobody wants to be stuck in the friend zone. How do you overcome it? Upfront agreement and clarifying questions. It's really that simple. You need to identify what the true problem is, because a lot of times when people are stuck in the friend zone, they're just uncomfortable, or maybe most likely the event is they're not confident that you can actually deliver what you're saying, or they don't believe in you, or they don't trust you. You're going to have to go back and find out which one it is and address it. And if they don't trust you, you got to spend more time with them. If they don't like your price, you're going to have to dig in and explain, hey, because the property's in this condition, if you want to fix it up, I can probably do that number. But if you want me to buy it as is and create certainty for you, this is the number we need to be at, because I need to create a situation that works for you and works for me. Number 4, when it comes to proof of funds and EMD, this is a killer for wholesalers. And this is the part where either you prepared or you didn't prepare. And most wholesalers do not prepare for this. Now, if people ask for, let's start with proof of funds. You have to confidently answer the question. If you go, nobody's ever asked me for it, you're done. Now, if you want to learn how to do it, go over to freewholesaling.com. I show you how to get your own proof of funds, meaning you go to the bank, you underwrite yourself. Some of you have decent jobs and credits, and you might as well utilize it and take it to your advantage. Now, Rick, I'm broke. I don't have any money. Go get a money partner. For God's sakes, it's not that hard. You can even do it with a deposit. Or you can go get what we call a soft money partner, which is a quiet funds partner, or you can get what we call a hard money lender. Now, all these relationships have to be set up in advance. And if you don't want to take the time to do that in advance, no wonder you can't deliver a confident answer. I wouldn't do business with you either. And it's the God honest truth. When I started wholesaling, I had no money. I went to a bank and actually got a ridiculous pre-approved letter. I don't know how they gave it to me. And then I had a hard money partner, and then I had a soft money partner, and it was extremely sharky, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get in the business. Put your shoe on the other foot. Think how the sellers mean. If they don't confident in what you're going to do, they're never going to do business with you. So confidence is knowing exactly what you're going to say and knowing how to overcome the objection. We talked about it in the first video on this. So if you're not confident and you're nervous, it's going to show with your sellers, and they're never going to do business with you. So if you don't have any money, partner up with someone like myself or Zach, and we'll show you how to move the needle forward. Remember, if you don't prepare for this, you're going to get run over, and this is how you lose wholesale deals. The second one, EMD, guys, the EMD is not, I don't negotiate that up front. Once I get down to the final offer and maybe they want more of a deposit, I recommend $500 or less. The reality is the EMD does not affect the final value of your contract. So why do you guys get like such hissy-fissies over it? I'm here to tell you, motivated sellers, they don't fight over deposits. Now, they don't want a $1 deposit. They don't want a $10 deposit. My recommendation always $500 because it shows you're credible and you're going to look like a scam artist, anything less. Keep in mind, the first 2 years of wholesaling, I never even left the deposit because I didn't even know what it was. EMD, and if you can't scrape up $500, like make some sacrifices in your life. Skip the bar, skip a vacation, skip your latte a la mochas, whatever they are. Or go get somebody and borrow the money and give them a 3 times return when the deal closes. Remember, as long as you have a contingency period, this money is really not at risk. So why are you arguing it? And let me tell you what, imagine if you get a deal 40, 50 cents on the dollar and they ask for a $10,000 deposit. Are you going to let the deal go? You're an idiot if you do. The reality is, go find someone like me. I'll put up the money. We'll strike up an agreement. Why? Because I know I'm 100% protected with a bona fide contract with an EMD. Please, guys, stop letting EMD ruin your wholesale deals. Number 5, I got another offer or a realtor wants to list it. This is the easiest one and honestly, one of the most common ones. Go back to the root of why that seller reached out to you or why they decided to meet with you on your appointment, either on the phone or in person. And remember, Sally said, I just want to get this property sold. I took it over. My mom passed away. It's just been a nightmare. It's run down. It hasn't been updated in 30 years. I don't have the money to fix it up. And I just want to get it sold. I want certainty in my life. And I want to move on and not deal with this property anymore. That's why she called you. Ask her what's changed. I said, Sally, I thought you wanted to get this done. You don't want any inspections. You don't want to deal with financing clauses. And you would like to get that money in your bank account in the next 30 days with no realtor fees or anything. What's changed? Well, this realtor told me I could get so-and-so. I go, if she can buy it for that, let's call her up and do it right now. You see, a realtor is just going to list the property. I find most realtors will say just about anything to list a property. It doesn't mean they're going to guarantee what it's going to sell for. I'm giving you certainty. And that's what I'm offering you right now with none of the headaches. So you're good with you're good with financing contingencies, long days on market. And at the end, you still got to pay your realtor's commission. You don't even know what's going to be the net outcome. And by the way, you realize the property taxes are behind and there's a mortgage payment due every month. And you told me you're 2 months behind and it's giving you a lot of anxiety. Don't you want this problem solved now? They want certainty. So Remind them of why they reached out to you, and don't be afraid of talking about the white elephant in the room, meaning if they talk about listing to it, that's great. If the realtor will buy it for that, or if the realtor can have that sold in the next 7 days for that, I would absolutely do it. What about the other offer from the wholesaler? Listen, there's a reason he or she didn't take it. There's always a reason, or they wouldn't be talking to you. A lot of times the offer was just a verbal shot over the bow. They never followed up with a contract. They never executed, had it signed, or maybe they were like outrageous terms. There is always a reason why they didn't take the offer from the other cash buyer or the wholesaler. Remind your seller, if it was such a great deal, you know they would have taken it, or they wouldn't be talking to you. It's just the God honest truth. And the last one is just talking about the authority. This one's simple. If you have an upfront agreement and you know you're talking about the person that can actually sign the contract, there should be no surprises at the end. The only time you're going to have a surprise if you don't verify who's the authorized person. Now, I'm here to tell you, when you have a husband and wife, make sure you respect that relationship and you understand the dynamics. What do I mean? I'm just going to tell you the truth on this one. A lot of people won't share this with you. If I'm talking to the wife and she's calling me back, typically the person who calls me back, or the person that I reach out to specifically on a cold call, is usually the overriding authority of that relationship. There's a reason for it. Now, I'm not to get into it. I've been married 30 plus years, and I'm here to tell you, when it comes to selling the house, you need to respect the other spouse or the other party. Otherwise, you are going to get blown out of the water. What do I mean? If you give a presentation to, say, a husband, and you do all the talking, and you never ask, is your wife okay with this? Should we have your wife present? And by the way, when you have spouses, you should have them both present, or at least one on the phone, or both on the phone, or both in person. Because here's what's going to happen. Say you give the husband, and men are notorious of this, they're just going to take your offer number with none of the benefits you presented, all cash, fast closing, no closing cost, anything like that. And they go, he offered me 80 grand for the property. It's like 80 grand. That's so insulting. But the husband forgot to mention all the other things you were going to do for them. And if you don't have the authorized party there that can make the decision, if you let one filter it from the other, you're only going to get about 10% of the information, which is usually just the price, and you're going to get rejected and it becomes problematic. To avoid this, make sure you do an upfront agreement and make sure you're dealing with the right parties up front. There's nothing worse than sitting through a long presentation, listening to a motivated sellers, and God knows some of them have long stories and they ramble, and find out they have no authority, or they're not the real decision maker in the family. Let's be honest, you guys. When it comes to relationships, someone usually wears the pants in the family and they lead the conversation. If you leave them out and you let the other party filter that information, which is usually just price, your wholesale deal is dead in the water. So make sure you identify who the authorized parties to get the deal done. Sometimes you have to bring in an attorney. Sometimes you have to bring in a real estate agent, which is very rare, guys. And I'm going to be honest with you. Real estate agent, unless they're representing a cash buyer, has very little authority to do anything. They're usually going to filter your deals out. And for that reason, make sure you're working directly with the sellers that are on the deed. And if you don't know how to do it, you can look it up on the online property records, on the property appraiser site, the clerk of court. Always make sure when you're meeting with a homeowner, you have all the parties of interest that are on there. It will save you a ton of energy and time. So guys, the point of this is there's basically 6 objections that come down the wholesaling. If you can narrow it down to what their actual objection is, you can move forward and you can close anyone. If you don't know what the true objection is, you can't overcome it, and they're never going to do a deal with you. So guys, remember, you have to earn the seller's trust, and you're going to have a conversation with them and connect with them. And once you identify their objections, you can simply trial closing them. I teach over on freewholesaling.com how to do this. A trial closing is just narrowing down the objections, overcoming them, and then repackaging your offer to get their consent so you can move forward. Remember, our job is to create win-win situations. It has to win for the seller, it has to win for the wholesaler, and ultimately win for the cash buyer. If you can keep that in mind, guys, you can overcome any seller objections. Just narrow them down, because all they are is they come down to 6 classifications. And once you break it down, it becomes easy. Your confidence raises and your deals increase, and it becomes magical. But it takes time. You got to keep going back. So remember, to become confident in wholesaling, you have to have repetition. You have to have reps in, because then you know what to say. You don't become nervous and become second nature. So guys, let me know in the comments which of these objections that you're going to master overcoming. Maybe you've skipped them. And as usual, if you got value from this, do me a favor, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share this video with someone who wants to learn the truth about wholesaling. This is Rick Ginn. I'll see you in the next video.